The truth at table 7 morning rituals, the morning sun filtered through the large windows of Murphy's diner as Sarah Mitchell tied her apron and prepared for another day of serving coffee and breakfast to the regular customers who had become as familiar as family over her 3 years working there. At 28, Sarah had learned to read people's moods in the way they ordered their eggs, to sense relationship troubles in the silence between couples, and to offer exactly the right amount of conversation to brighten someone's day without overstepping boundaries. The diner occupied a special place in the small downtown district of Cedar Falls, serving as an unofficial community center where business deals were discussed over pancakes, first dates unfolded over shared desserts, and longtime residents gathered to catch up on local news. Sarah took pride in being part of this daily rhythm, in knowing that Mr. Thompson always ordered his coffee black with 2 sugars, that Mrs. Rodriguez preferred her toast barely golden, and that the young couple in booth 3 was celebrating their 2nd wedding anniversary. But this Tuesday morning felt different. There was a tension in the air that Sarah couldn't quite identify, a sense that something was about to shift in the careful balance of relationships that played out daily in her section of the restaurant. The regular customer Marcus Wellington had been coming to Murphy's diner every Tuesday morning for the past 6 months, always arriving at exactly 8:15 and sitting at table 7 near the back corner. He was impossible to miss. Tall, well-dressed in expensive suits that spoke of serious money, with kind eyes that seemed to carry the weight of someone managing significant responsibilities. Sarah had learned that Marcus owned Wellington Technologies, the largest employer in Cedar Falls, and that he always ordered the same thing: black coffee, wheat toast, and scrambled eggs with cheese. He was polite but reserved, the kind of customer who appreciated efficiency over conversation, though Sarah had noticed he always left generous tips and thanked her by name when he paid his check. This particular Tuesday, Marcus looked more tired than usual. His expensive watch caught the morning light as he checked the time repeatedly, and Sarah noticed he kept glancing at his phone with the expression of someone waiting for an important call that wasn't coming. "The usual this morning, Mr. Wellington?" Sarah asked as she approached his table with the coffee pot. "Yes, thank you, Sarah," Marcus replied, managing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "And perhaps you could make the coffee extra strong today. It's going to be a long day." The uncomfortable discovery, 20 minutes later, as Sarah was wiping down tables in the front section of the diner, she glanced through the large window that faced the street and felt her stomach drop. Across the street, in the parking lot of the small boutique hotel, she could see a familiar figure. A woman with long blonde hair wearing an elegant red dress that probably cost more than Sarah made in a month. Emma Wellington. Marcus's wife was standing very close to a man who definitely wasn't her husband. Sarah had seen Emma a few times when she came to the diner with Marcus, always perfectly dressed and politely distant, treating Sarah with the kind of cool politeness that wealthy people often used with service workers. But now Emma was in an intimate embrace with someone else, her hands on his chest in a way that spoke of familiarity and affection. The man was younger than Marcus, probably in his early 30s, with the casual confidence of someone who was used to getting what he wanted. Sarah felt torn between looking away and continuing to watch, her mind racing with the implications of what she was seeing. This wasn't her business, she told herself. She was just a waitress, and the private lives of customers were exactly that, private. The moral dilemma. For the rest of Marcus's breakfast, Sarah found herself stealing glances at him as he ate quietly, occasionally checking his phone and making notes in a small leather notebook. He seemed completely unaware that his wife was carrying on an affair literally across the street from where he sat having his morning meal. Sarah had waitressed long enough to know that getting involved in customers' personal lives was a dangerous path. She had seen other servers lose their jobs for overstepping boundaries, for assuming they knew the full story behind what they observed. But she had also seen the kind of man Marcus appeared to be: hardworking, respectful, the type of person who deserved better than being betrayed by someone he trusted. As Marcus prepared to leave, Sarah made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Mr. Wellington," she said quietly, approaching his table as he signed his credit card receipt. "Could I speak with you privately for just a moment?" Marcus looked up with surprise. In 6 months of regular visits, Sarah had never initiated a personal conversation beyond taking his order and ensuring his coffee cup stayed full. "Of course," Marcus said, glancing around the nearly empty diner. "Is everything all right?" The difficult truth. Sarah felt her hands trembling as she sat down across from Marcus at table 7. She had never done anything like this before, had never inserted herself into someone else's life in such a direct way. "Mr. Wellington, I need to tell you something, and I'm not sure how to say it without sounding like I'm overstepping my boundaries," Sarah began, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus set down his coffee cup and gave her his full attention, perhaps sensing the seriousness of whatever she was about to share. "I saw your wife this morning," Sarah continued, forcing herself to meet his eyes. "She was across the street at the hotel with another man. They appeared to be very close." The silence that followed felt like it stretched for hours, though it probably lasted only seconds. Sarah watched as understanding dawned in Marcus's eyes, followed by something that looked like relief mixed with pain. "I see," Marcus said quietly, his voice carefully controlled. "And you felt I should know about this?" "I'm so sorry," Sarah said quickly. "I know it's not my place, and I know this must be incredibly painful to hear. But if it were me, I would want someone to tell me." Chapter 6. An unexpected response. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window toward the hotel, where his wife was presumably still with her lover. When he finally spoke, his words were not what Sarah expected. "Sarah, can I ask you something? In the time you've been serving me breakfast, what kind of man would you say I am?" The question caught Sarah off guard. You're kind, respectful. You work hard, you're polite to everyone, and you tip well even when the service isn't perfect. You seem like a good man. And my wife, when you've seen her with me, how did she seem?" Sarah thought carefully about her answer. Distant, maybe. Like she was going through the motions of being here but wishing she was somewhere else. Marcus nodded slowly. "Sarah, what you saw this morning. It's not the first time. I've known about Emma's affairs for over a year now. We've been living separate lives for much longer than that." Sarah felt her understanding of the situation shift completely. "Then why haven't I done anything about it?" Marcus finished. "Because I was afraid. Afraid of being alone, afraid of admitting that my marriage was over, afraid of what divorce would mean for my business and my reputation in this small town." The catalyst for change. "But you telling me what you saw," Marcus continued, "you caring enough about a stranger to risk an uncomfortable conversation, that changes things. It makes me realize that living a lie isn't protecting anyone, especially not me." Sarah felt tears forming in her eyes. "I'm so sorry you've been going through this alone." "I haven't been entirely alone," Marcus said with a slight smile. "I've had these Tuesday morning breakfasts to look forward to. Having someone treat me with genuine kindness, even if it was just part of your job, has meant more than you know." "It was never just part of my job," Sarah said quietly. "You've always been one of my favorite customers because you treat people well, regardless of who they are." Marcus reached across the table and gently touched Sarah's hand. "Thank you for caring enough to tell me the truth. It took courage to do that." New beginnings. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the kitchen of her own restaurant, Mitchell's Cafe, putting the finishing touches on the lunch specials board. The space was smaller than Murphy's Diner, but it was hers, purchased with a business loan that Marcus had helped her secure after his divorce was finalized. Marcus had been true to his word about making changes. Within a week of their conversation at Table 7, he had filed for divorce and begun the process of rebuilding his life as a single man. The process hadn't been easy, but it had been honest, and that had made all the difference. "How's the new place working out?" Marcus asked as he settled into his usual spot, Table 7, which Sarah had specifically requested when ordering furniture for the cafe. "Better than I expected," Sarah replied, pouring his coffee, still black, no sugar. "It's scary being a business owner instead of just an employee, but it's also exciting." "You deserve this success," Marcus said. "You took a risk to help someone you barely knew. That kind of character should be rewarded." Over the months, their relationship had evolved from customer and server to friends and gradually into something deeper. Marcus had helped Sarah navigate the complexities of small business ownership, while Sarah had helped Marcus rediscover W